all good copywriting factors in human behavior. If you want to become a better salesperson, copywriting is a great way to get there. When I look at a lot of the top salespeople in the world, and the reason that they're so great is because they studied how to write copy. Copywriting is a series of building blocks that you're putting pieces together. And that's what you're doing in sales, but you're doing it vocally, you're doing it verbally. When you could do it mentally in your head and you can write it out, it makes it easier for you to stop. Like when somebody says something, and be like, okay. And you become more introspective. The better I have become at copywriting, the better I become at sales, and the better I become a better listener. Because when I listen, I'm allowed to pull things out of people that allow me to articulate it in a way that will resonate with the end consumer. So the encouragement I would give anyone here, if you want to do marketing really well and you want to become a really good salesperson, I would encourage you to learn a little bit about copywriting. You're listening to the number one real estate podcast in the world. We talk with real estate professionals all across North America about their wins, losses, lessons, and stories, help you win in your local market today. My name's Cody from Sheridan Street. I'm joined by Vikram Deol of the Real Estate Sales Academy. If you're listening on iTunes and you're listening on Spotify, I would encourage you to go to iTunes, go to Spotify, leave us a 5-star review so we can help more real estate agents win in their market today. We don't monetize this podcast, so all we ask is if you are a nice human being out there in the world, leave us a 5-star review. We got some good 5-star reviews. I shared the other day, Vikram, but how you doing, bro?
I just got a facial. I'm doing good, man.
That's exciting.
I've been, we're doing 75 hard together, which I don't know how I let you talk me into that, but it's not that big of a deal. It's like the third or fourth time now that I'm doing it. It's just,
it's good for your body.
It's just a, get back on track. But I decided that gotta step it up, right? Like you can't, if you've already conquered the mountain once, then the second time you go up the mountain, you got to take like a backpack with some weight. And then if you've done it a couple of times, you got to, strap something on. So this time I am working on today's day one, no coffee. And I also decided to do 30 days of no ejaculation. And for people that are listening, they might think that that's a crazy thing to say out loud, but you've never actually heard me talk then. But when you do this, one, it's a mental mindset reset. But two, it allows you to really focus. Like when a man has an ejaculation, and I know this is a very interesting podcast here, but when a man has an ejaculation, he actually is giving out life force energy. And so it actually depletes a lot of your driving force to create. And you and I both have big goals to finish the year off super strong. And so I was like, you know what, let's just go 30 days. And it's not really that bad. It's just that, again, it's just another mindset thing. Like 75 hard isn't hard. It's just mindset.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me around the discipline that is created, because some people like on my team were like, oh, you're doing 75 hard again. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. Like, why are you doing it? It's just like when you have so much structure in business, like you look for structure in life in order, you sometimes look for structure in life in order to fuel the structure that you want to create in business. And like you said, the goals that you want to accomplish. And I think that you and I have both said that, hey, we want to accomplish big things by the end of the year. And a lot of the work that we put in the last 60 days are kind of coming to fruition for both of us. And I think that as I meditate and as I reflect on the last 60 days, I'm like, okay, finally the things that I did 60 days ago are showing up today. And I think that a lot of agents right now make the mistake, and a lot of just entrepreneurs and business owners, not just in the real estate space, they make the mistake of thinking that all of a sudden you're going to turn on a marketing campaign, or all of a sudden you're going to get a script and it's immediately going to change the direction of your business. But it's like, and I said this the other day to an agent, I said to him, like, the script is only so much. It's what you do with the script. It's how you say the script. It's how you use the right tone in order to get the result that you're looking for in your business. And a lot of that comes through practice, comes through routine, and it comes through discipline. And I'm curious to know, Vic, I know there's a lot you're doing right now in the Real Estate Sales Academy. You guys have really found your footing around what you're doing. But you talk a lot about discipline. You talk a lot about the idea that in order to be disciplined in both your personal and professional life, there are things we have to do on a daily basis. Like, what are some things that you're seeing in regards to agents being able to shift their perspective, shift their mindset, and like create results? Like, how does somebody do that in your view? Because like you work with people that have come into a sales coaching program with zero sales experience, but have been able to articulate to the buyer, to the seller, how to essentially sell a home, how to buy a home, how to what are you doing right now that you're seeing the best results with your team?
So, first off, like the thing is that when people get into real estate, and I get messages now all the time, which is just like funny how the world just starts delivering as you start stepping into who you're supposed to be. And I get messages and they're like, hey, I used to own a UPS store. Oh, I used to own this type of business or that type of business. And I thought that was hard. And then I got into real estate. And what people don't understand is that like every part of real estate prospecting is different. So people are like, oh, I want to try this. Oh, I want to try that. Oh, I want to try this. Oh, I want to try that. So the first thing we got to get down to is you can't try door knocking. You can't try calling expires. You can't try doing open houses for 30, 40, 50 days. You got to do it for 6 months because that's a special language framework pattern. And then the follow-up is a special language framework pattern. So like the way you talk to an open house lead is slightly different than the way you're going to call back an age lead that's maybe 6 months old. Slightly different than you're going to call back a brand new lead that just came in. Way different than you're going to call an expired. Way different than the way you're going to door knock. If we just start to understand the components of it, the psychology behind each prospective person, like I'll give you a quick example. When you get on TikTok, when you get on Instagram, when you get on LinkedIn, when you get on Facebook, when you get on YouTube, you're 5 different people. The way you use each platform is different because the platform, the way that you set it up in your mind is different. Well, it's the same thing. The way that a lead comes into your world is going to be different based off of where that lead came in from or how old it is. So the first thing we do is we talk about create a plan for longevity. Don't create a plan for results. Create a mindset that we're not in this to get a result immediately. We're in this to get a result in 3 to 6 months. Now, do people get results quicker? Abso-freaking-lutely. But if you come in thinking that I'm going to turn on the lead gen system and tomorrow I'm going to be flooded with amazing prospects, you have no idea how to even call an online lead. So why are you out there trying to do online leads, cold call expired, door knocks, open houses, right? Like sphere of influence referrals. It's too much to handle. So it's just chunking that down.
And that was so interesting. Like you said that you used the words too much to handle. I was on a conversation with an office manager the other day. They have 3 agents on their team and they're generating 250 leads a month.
Jesus.
3 agents. And they also have a database of 23,000. And I was like,
wow. Jesus.
shut off the leads.
Wow.
No, you have to understand, if you don't have an ISA, 3 agents cannot handle 250 leads a month. It's not possible. It's like, it's not possible.
Stupid. It's stupid. They're killing themselves.
Yeah. So, or they're just not following up and they're not doing anything. So my big thing, like I was on a conversation last night, and you and I had this conversation. I want to chat about this really quickly because I think this will provide a ton of value to anyone listening to the podcast. Right now, understanding your source is so important, like what Vikram is saying. Understanding the source is so important. I was on a conversation last night with an agent, and they have 600 verified homeowners in their database, and they keep approaching the verified homeowner every 6 months with the same script.
Right.
And the script is like, what, are you considering making a move in 6-12 months? It's the same script over and over and over again. And people get deaf and they get numb to it. So I said to the agent that is now working with us, I'm like, can I give you a different perspective? He's like, absolutely. I'm like, have you thought about approaching them from the buy side where, attacking the aspiration of getting into a new property? Because that these aren't distressed properties. That they're not in foreclosure. So it's like they don't have to make a move. Like they're not getting divorced. They don't have to make a move. They're not relocating. They don't have to make a move.
Right.
It's like we have to use human psychology in order to figure out, like, how do we get these 600 homeowners that potentially might want to make a move? We can't start with like every other every other script, it's like, let me give you a CMA, because Zillow is going to give you the CMA, and, the consumer trusts Zillow. So the consumer says,
the consumer trusts Zillow more
estimate,
than they trust, they trust
the
Zillow
agent.
more than they trust the agent.
100%. So I encouraged him, and he's like, absolutely, we're gonna try this strategy. We're gonna approach them from the buy side. So the encouragement I would give anyone out there right now, if you have an ISA, you have a, you're calling your leads yourself. If you have sellers, if you already know they're a seller, why not try approaching them as if they are a buyer and getting them set up and trying to help them find a new property that they want with the terms they want, the price they want, and in the area, the location. Like, why don't you come to them with a solution rather than saying, hey, let me sell your home? Because that might be a solution. That might be a good solution for somebody that's distressed or somebody that is in foreclosure. Yes, we need to sell your home. We need to get the maximum amount of value. But if you're a homeowner and you're sitting there being like, I don't really gotta move, but like it would be nice to move, but I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm scared about market volatility. I'm scared about interest rates. I'm scared about the mortgage payment. All the things that sellers are scared of about getting into a new property. Why not approach them from the buy side? And even if they decide in a year and a half that they want to sell, who are they going to work with? They're going to work with a person that helped them find the property of their dreams, or the property that fits their needs and their criteria, like that, more than the person that called them 70 times asking them to sell their home.
In this market, right? Like, you got to create, you got to figure out different ways to create urgency. And so if your first call right now, again, we can go back to how do you call a person, right? Well, when you get a lead and it comes in and it's a seller, and, I work with sold.com. I'm helping them with some training and coaching and things of that nature because their agents are struggling. And I put in an address and I got a call back. I didn't actually get a call from the agent. I got a text. Hey, it looks like you want to sell your house. When can I come over? I'm like, bro, that's like you going into a bar, walking up to a woman you like, saying,
exactly,
hey, can I buy you a freaking $14 drink?
$14 drink, bro. Can I come over to sell your home? That's no. Vikram, that is equivalent to you going to a bar and saying, hey, do you want to come home with me?
And I'm good, bro. I'm good. I could probably get about 10% of those to close. And I don't think I would want any of that 10%, right? Like,
I don't think you want any of it. But that's like
crazy.
That's the human psychology. It's like, as soon as we use anecdotes to explain to people what they're doing when they're speaking to a seller, they're like, oh my God, I never thought of it that way. I'm like, that is what you're doing. You're walking into a bar, you're going up to a girl, you're going up to a guy, and you're saying, hey, come home with me now. Because that's literally the equivalent. It's like, if you're saying, can I come over? That's essentially what you're saying. You're saying, can I come over?
Can I come over, sleep with you, and then leave and never talk to you again? Because that's what agents do, right? Like, and so like, if we break it down, right, like the first thing we have to figure out is, how do we open up a conversation and build trust? What does that even mean? Okay, so let's open up the conversation and let's have the conversation around something that the prospect asked us for. Hey, ring, ring. Hey, Cody. Hey, this is just Vikram. It looks like maybe 3.5 months ago you were looking at possibly getting like a evaluation on your home. It looks like I'm just looking here to update the system. I'm sure you've been getting a lot of calls from our company. I was just curious, like, did you find the information you were looking for, or like, were you still possibly looking?
So I want to point out something really quickly here. And this is what I mean by, like, when I said at the beginning, is I can give you the script. And I was literally having a conversation the other day with an agent, because like, I don't do sales coaching. I don't have the patience that Vikram has. I don't have the patience.
And I don't have the patience to sit in front of a computer and figure out tweaking a message online, because I like to talk.
I would much rather do that. But like, I don't have the patience. And I was saying to this new client, I'm like, he's like, can you, like, because he was literally asking me, can you coach me? Like, I like your style, I like your tone. And I'm like, no, I can't coach you. Go and chat with Vikram. I can't coach you. I don't do that. I don't offer that as a service. But I said to him, like, I'm going to give you the scripts. I'm going to write the script. But how you deliver the script is like, I'm on podcast mode right now. So, I'm accentuating my tone. I'm using my hands. I don't do that in calls. If you hear me in a call,
that's crazy. You should use your hands. You should use your hands and your body language in a call, but you should use a different tone.
A different tone. So I'd always talk with my hands.
Yeah, I've seen you on sales calls. What are you talking about, Cody? I've seen you on sales calls.
I always use my hands all the time. But what I'm trying to get at is like mastering the tone. Like even I was working with one of our inside sales agents, and I said to Miguel, and he's really good because he doesn't take no for an answer. Like the other day, like he was on a call with an agent who actually became a client, and Miguel just kept asking him why. He's like, well, why? Like, like in a hypothetical world, like why? Like why wouldn't you want more appointments for your business? It just kept going and going, and he's good. And then but I want to go back to that. Like I want to go back to that. It's when you say things in a non-triggering, right? Like one of our clients, Starlene, she's got like the super chill. She could tell you anything. Like, I'm gonna blow your head off, and she could have a gun to your face, and you're like, "Oh, Starlene, you're so cute. Like, you're like my grandma, right? Because she's a grandma, right? And she's got that such like her tone and pacing. You can get away with a lot of stupid shit if you have a really good tone. Like, if you give me a really horrible script, like you give me one of the scripts that have been written 25 years ago that are just like super, super, super salesy, and you give it to me, and I learned, like, I read it over a couple of times. I'm not going to go in cold. Like, that's stupid. Pull a ligament, that's dumb. But if you give me the script and I practice it for a few minutes, 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then you're like, all right, let's go with it. I can take that script because I've practiced so much in my life. And I can insert the pauses, I can insert the verbal cues, I can insert the right pace. I know where to pause and like have a little bit of silence. Wait. So, hold on. Right? Like all of those different things. And if you guys are watching this back on YouTube, you'll actually see my facial expressions change immediately. I don't think about it anymore because it's unconscious competence, but like it's the tonality that Miguel was using that caused the agent to stay on and not get triggered like, this guy's just an asshole. Fuck this guy. That's why. It's not because he doesn't take no for an answer. That's obviously one reason, but it's because of his tonality and the way that he's asking the question that causes the prospect to stay on the phone call. Yeah. Like, we've used your line, like before. And it definitely works I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. It's that type of like, especially when you get a buyer or seller.
Yeah. I apologize, Cody. I apologize if I offended you. I didn't mean to offend you.
Yeah. So and what I was getting at when I was talking about the client that wanted the script, I said to him, I'm like, man, if I can be completely honest with you, like the script is great, but you're not going to understand how to use the script without role playing it daily, without practicing it daily. Because like even yesterday, like I spent the entire day rewriting like our closer script, like rewriting our framework. A lot of people, when they hear script, they think, oh, I don't want to sound robotic. It's like when you know something in the back of your head, like it's like you've done it so many times.
Totally.
Even though it's a script, and this is why I rewrote our setter script into like more of a framework. It's like, here's the connection phase, here's the awareness phase, here's the situation phase, here's the problem phase. Like it gives them the structure that they need in order to know where they're going to go, to ask the right questions at the right time and the right tone to get the result that they're looking for. So,
well, even like
I highly
right
encourage.
now,
I've heard you. I just want to say one other thing, and I'll let you hop back in here. I would highly encourage anyone that, and this is like, I don't make any money off of this. Like, like
well, you got a couple late night cuddles. So you little spoon.
I don't make any money on this. I'm telling you, like from working with so many real estate agents, hundreds and hundreds of agents, I am telling you the thing that separates the agent that wins with online leads and the agent that doesn't is scripting, tonality, and practice. That is it. It's that simple. And that's why I'm saying, like, that's why I love, and I've seen, like I said to you the other day about what you're doing in the Real Estate Sales Academy, the actual group that you're building, the camaraderie you're building, the amount of calls you're doing. You've really landed in your lane. And I want to give you a shout out, Vikram. I don't do this often. Bro. I want to give you a shout out for everything that you're building, because I really do believe, heart of hearts, that everyone that is running any type of lead gen 110% needs to have a sit down and have a conversation with you at the very least, join your trial, see if you align with that. And if it's not Vikram, I have
Go
like
somewhere.
I added,
Go somewhere.
I added it up the other day, and I have spent north of $400,000 in coaching in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
2 to 3 years.
That's like, yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe in coaching. I wholeheartedly believe that I would not be here if it wasn't for the relationships that I built in these coaching communities that allowed me to get the tools that I needed in order to become the person I am today. And yeah, I just want to leave it at that today. I don't know if you want to add anything before we wrap it up here.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I'm getting close to 7 figures in coaching. Right, every time I go through pictures, I was like, oh, I remember that. That was like a $4,000 event. Oh yeah. And then I did a couple of one-on-ones with her. That was $10 grand. Oh, I forgot about Jen. That's another $16,000. Oh, Tony Robbins, that was $175,000. Sharon was 30. Beatrice was 50. The project was 10K. I'm like, like those are just the big ones. And then I had, the standard real estate coaches for 4 or 5 years. We did, the inner circle VIP thing. So that was another. Then Jeremy Miner was another 40 grand. And I forgot about Sean Callaghy with Unblinded. That was 2,000 to 24,000 plus the 2 events. That was 30K right there. I'm like, that's crazy. My dad's always like, if you spent less money on coaching, you would. But the thing is the last 90 days, I was revamping everything, right? I was revamping everything. I was changing my program. I was changing like our marketing. I was changing our messaging, and I went into a massive slump. Right. And everybody's like, oh, I want one-on-one coaching with you, Vic. And like, oh, that would be great. This morning, you were walking home from the gym, and I was sitting down with one of my buddies that lives in Medellin that I met through one of the coaching programs that I'm in. And we ended up talking for 45 minutes. And he's like, bro, I'm in a slump right now. And I was like, pitch me real quick. He's like, okay. So he started pitching me, and I was like, okay, all right, cool. Okay. I'm like, try this. Because he's selling high ticket coaching. I'm selling high ticket, like sales training coaching, very similar avatar. We spent 25 minutes just going through like the different frames that I've been working on. And it's a funny thing is like, once you learn a few of the techniques, you can plug that in. Like if you guys go back and listen to this call when Cody was talking about 7 minutes ago, because I actually was listening to Cody, I knew where to drop in what was coined by Jeremy Miner as verbal cues. And I'm like, oh. And they're just subtle portions, like subtle little things that lets Cody know that I'm still involved. Now, obviously, Cody and I can see each other, so he knows I'm there, but it keeps the conversation conversational. Now, if I needed to butt in and say something, because I had been dropping those verbal cues. And this is something that I was really good at with real estate, but for real estate training, like for selling coaching, it was something that I forgot that I was a human being that sold hundreds of millions of dollars worth of things, made 7 figures, multiple years. And like, for some reason I got like so into my head that I went into this massive slump because I was trying to do things a different way that wasn't necessarily me. And one of the things is that when people start working with me, and like one of the things that we tell them inside the Sales Academy is you're going to write your script in your words. I'm going to help you tweak it so that it works with human behavior and human psychology. You have to, your market better than I do. If I give you a generic script and I say, here you go, Cody, read this and do this, you're going to be like, I don't want to do it. But if we work together, and we do this every week for 90 minutes a week almost. We work on our clients' individual scripts together, and so they can get the framework that works with them. And when they do that, guess what happens when they use the script?
It sounds natural. It feels natural. They sell more. They have more conversations.
Totally. It's not about just asking questions. Like that's great. But if you are like 87% of real estate agents out there that didn't come from like a really heavily awesome trained sales background where your trainer actually understood a little bit of human psychology. Like the guy that I learned from, his professor was Robert Cialdini, which is like the godfather of influence. It's gangster. So I'm like, how did you learn so much? Well, When he was 19 years old, he was pumped in with like, this is how human psychology works. And now he's 45. And for 22 years, he's been learning this. You guys, it's just a process that takes time.
I want to end with this because it's something I said on Sharon's Icons. I presented last week. I know you're presenting, I think next week in Sharon's Icons. I chatted with them about the better copywriter you become, the better salesperson you become. And I'm going to explain to you why I mean this.
Yeah, share that.
Because and like I unpacked this. It took me like 10, 20 minutes to unpack. I know 10, 20 minutes, but I'm going to give you the high level Cliff Notes version of what I mean.
Give us a Spark Notes, baby.
Yeah, Spark Notes. All good copywriting factors in human behavior. So reading the greats like Eugene Schwartz, Claude Hopkins, Gary Halbert, David Ogilvy, like if you want to become a better salesperson, something I've learned along the way is that copywriting is a great way to get there. And when I look at a lot of the top salespeople in the world, a lot of them are marketers. And the reason that they're so great is because they studied how to write copy, how to put like, and I said this on this training is Eugene Schwartz wrote a book called Breakthrough Advertising. It's all about human behavior, about, unconscious competence, about where the person is in the buying cycle, how to speak to them, how to write to them. And he says in the book Breakthrough Advertising that copywriting is a series of building blocks that you're putting pieces together. And that's what you're doing in sales, but you're doing it vocally, you're doing it verbally. When you can do it mentally in your head and you can write it out, it makes it easier for you to stop to, like, when somebody says something, be like, okay. And you become more introspective. You become a better listener. The better I have become at copywriting, the better I become at sales, and the better I become a better listener. Because when I listen, totally. I'm allowed to pull things out of people that allow me to articulate it in a way that I'm already doing that when I'm writing. I'm thinking in my head, how do I put this in a way that will resonate with the end consumer? So the encouragement I would give anyone here, if you want to become their sales training, their sales coaching out there, if you want to do marketing really well and you want to become a really good salesperson, I would encourage you to to learn a little bit about copywriting, to learn a little bit more about how to structure an offer, because that will help you in sales. And that's the only thing I wanted to add before we hop out here.
I want to give you the quick one line, because when you craft your offer, because we worked on our offer, right? I was like, I wanted to be everything to every sales agent out there. Like, I was like, I can help every realtor. And I truly believe I can help probably 97% of realtors get an incremental amount of growth, right? Some might be 10%, others might be 5,000%, depending on where they're at in the process, right? Just by working, because most realtors don't have great tone, because it's just not taught very well in our industry. And I know that because I've been through a lot of the sales training. Like there's great training in our industry, but it's all kind of like the same style because people haven't gone out of our industry very often. What I can tell you is when I went from, hey, if you're doing less than a deal a month and you want to get to 2 deals a month, what that did for me when I started to write copy was everything got really dialed in. Then the people that come through your door are people that are doing 1 to 2, like under a deal a month typically, or maybe they're even doing 2, but they want to get to 3 or 4, but they know that they need a system or a process. They align with that. And so the people that come through your door are in alignment with what your offer is, which then allows you to go out there and actually talk to them. So like if you want to go and talk to, let's say you're a senior citizen, you're a senior, like you want to help senior citizens, downsize. If you get really good at your messaging online and you start creating content about helping seniors, then when you sit down and talk to them, it's unconsciously competent that you're going to ask them the right questions instead of trying to tell them how great you are. It's like, okay, so what happens if you don't do this? What happens if you don't do that? So 100%, brother, you got to know what your copy is, because it also, when you write, like Sharon always tells me, Vic, you can talk really well, but when you write, you have to be concise, because people don't want to read 72,000 word essays. He's like, you should take all of your content that you've written and put it in a book, and you have a whole book. He's like, but if you look at my emails, they're like 15 lines and they're spaced out. So it's like 7 lines of type and then my super signature, and I get a crazy impact. He's like, because people just need a little tidbit of curiosity, then they're going to click your link and then they'll read. So
you're 100% right. I totally agree with you. Yeah, let's wrap up here. I want to say thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Our Agent Podcast. Like I said, again, if you got any value today, I would highly, highly ask for a review on iTunes. It helps us reach more real estate agents.
It's social currency, guys. It doesn't cost you anything but maybe 2 minutes. It's just a little bit of social currency, baby.
I want to say thank you for tuning in. We'll see you soon.